Welcome back to the Honest to Goodness podcast. I'm your host, Kerri, and this is my co-host, Morgan. And we're excited to finally be recapping episode 2 of season 9 of When Calls the Heart. I'm assuming you have watched where we recapped episode 1. If you did not, the reason we are so late to the game, my mother just passed away recently, so we're kind of behind. We're playing catch up here. Again, thank you all so much for all the prayers and support and reaching out even to Morgan, she's over here, sorry, to check on me. It's backwards on my computer. So like if I'm pointing this way, that's where she is, but she's actually on this side for y'all. So anyway, so when y'all, I notice this sometimes in videos, like I'm looking at you on my computer, but it looks like I'm looking away from you because you're on the
Yeah. And I'm looking at you right now. And then most of the time, though, I look at myself because I make dumb expressions and I try and make myself not do that. I'm not staring at myself because I think I look pretty.
You are gorgeous. Come on. I've always said she looked like Jen Lilly. Like, to me, she just looks like Jen Lilly. And I'm not the only person that has said that. So
no, I've had like 4 people since she's told me that I look like her. I take it as a huge compliment. So thank you.
But anyway, so getting into episode 2 of season 9 of When Calls the Heart. Again, personally, I'm enjoying this season. I told Morgan, I feel like especially this episode, at least for me, and I think I can speak for Morgan here too, because we're basically twins, but I know at least for me, I have enough of an innocent troublemaking streak to actually be enjoying a lot of what people are getting mad at.
I know, because like I don't go on Instagram until I watch the episode. Like that's what I did. I even put it on Instagram. I'm like, just so you guys know, I did not watch the episode last night, because at the time you were dealing with your mom's situation. And we'd already previously let them know that she needed prayer, you needed prayer, that right now we weren't going to be doing anything with the podcast until everything resolved. It didn't resolve the way we wanted it to happen, but anyways. I remember putting on my story, I'm like, hey, just so y'all know, because we have a few people that like to tag us in their videos and then their discussions about the show. And I just kind of wanted to make sure that any of you that were watching that did that, we didn't ignore you guys. We just didn't want to get it spoiled. And we definitely didn't want to get, I know for me, like sometimes I can get influenced by other people's opinions and stuff. And so I wanted to go ahead and get my strong, concrete opinion before I was influenced by other people's opinions.
Yeah.
So when I first watched the first episode and then the second episode, because once again, we were behind. I didn't watch until she watched pretty much, like I watched like maybe 2 days before you did.
Yeah.
But only because I'm my mom. But anyways, like the majority of the reviews that I had started seeing after I finally was able to watch the episodes were completely opposite of how I felt.
Yeah.
And though I could see why they felt that way, it wasn't my initial first reaction.
Yeah.
But I had to say, so far out of these 3 episodes, this one is definitely my favorite so far.
Episode 2?
Yeah.
I don't know if episode 2 or episode 3 was for me.
They're both pretty equally good. I will say
Yeah.
that.
I
But
think I
wanna-
like different things about each one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I want to say that this one's my favorite.
Yeah. Okay, so this episode starts off, the cliffhanger from episode 1 was Nathan about to get hit by a car. He's out riding Newton out on patrol, and there's like, you know,
Pretty fast, by the way. Like, it was kind of funny to see Kevin riding that fast on a horse.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen him do that since Heartland. So.
Yeah. So that was a cliffhanger from episode 1. So episode 2 starts out with Lucas driving up to Elizabeth's house. She had just let Laura in the door to babysit Jack for the day, and she perks up that Lucas is here, and he's like, "There's been an accident. It's Nathan."
Face. Yeah.
Yeah, her whole face like just drops. And so they get to town, and she runs into Rosemary, and he's like, "What happened?" So Rosemary tells her, you know, he's made it through the night. You know, Faith says that's encouraging. He's not out of the woods yet, you know, but he did make it through the night. And
I didn't actually catch that the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
That accident happened the previous day.
Yeah.
And like, it could be just like a miscommunication with the scenes or whatever, but like, it was still pretty much daylight when the initial accident happened. So I don't know why. I guess maybe, I don't know, but like, it's kind of crazy to me that nobody else found out about the accident until the next day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When usually everything, as soon as it happens, you know, and I know like whenever season seven happened, and like everybody's like, Nathan got shot, you know, blah blah blah. It's like immediately when that happened, it was like all over. Like everyone was getting a reaction from it. So I didn't notice that the first time I watched it, but the second time I was like, wait, it's like the next day.
Yeah, the next morning. Yeah.
Yeah, the next morning.
So Rosemary tells her that the only people Faith wants in there at that point, because you know Faith is like the only doctor right now, is Maysu, who is the new pharmacist, and Molly, who of course the last season or two has started helping out at the
being kind of like the assistant.
Yeah. And so Lucas asks, like, does anybody know who hit him? You know, like what happened here? And Bill rides up at that point, or did they find the guy that hit him? And Bill rides up at that point, and he's like, I've got a guy in Benson Hills, I've got a guy here, I'm riding out here. And Lucas just automatically goes, I'll head to Union City. There's got to be front end damage on this car. You know, I'll go to Union City.
We'll find him.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like without skipping a beat, no.
Yeah, no hesitation whatsoever.
No hesitation.
He was like,
yeah. And a lot of people are like, oh, once again, they're making Lucas be like close to Nathan. I don't think I did not take that scene like that. The way I saw it was like Lucas being a part of the community.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those two have a bond. It's a weird bond, but those two have a bond,
but it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they've always
when you find out that someone hit someone and then kept going, didn't try and stop and help or anything, especially a Mountie who is on a horse and you hit him with your car. You didn't they had to have known that you didn't just didn't hurt him. You also hurt the horse. That's an animal, you know? So I know that had to have been jarring for anyone, including Lucas, to be like, nah, he's not about to get away with that. Like, we're all going to go out there. We're going to make sure that we find this dude and that he gets what he needs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not the first time Lucas has volunteered to quote unquote be part of a posse either. So, I mean, yeah, that's not.
I mean, I think he was part of trying to find Jesse. You know, he's done a lot of things with the community and tried to help out, you know.
Yeah. But Elizabeth asks about Newton, and they tell her, you know, he was hurt, but you know, he'll be okay. And so Elizabeth is sitting outside the infirmary, and Molly comes out, and says, Faith says you better come in. And so Elizabeth is standing there talking to Faith, and Molly and May are both like fussing over Nathan over there.
And you can tell that Nathan's not enjoying it at all, which is, you know, he's like, Molly's over here trying to get him to take a sip of water. May's over here like putting ice on his head. And like he's getting all fussed over by these two women, and like Nathan's not enjoying it at all. He's like moving around, he's like moving his head around. He's like, no, like stop.
But
so basically he gets diagnosed with a concussion, external injuries, not internal injuries.
Yeah. She said that the worst part would be the concussion, and that it could cause some amnesia, like he could have some memory loss from that.
But mainly around initially the accident.
Yeah, that he probably wouldn't remember much from the accident.
But that he was beginning to get agitated and asked for her.
Yeah, that he asked to talk to Elizabeth. So she's like, so kind of help calm him down over here. Yeah. So she asks Molly and May to kind of step out, let them have a minute there. And Elizabeth sits down, is like, you had us all worried. How you doing? You know, whatever. And Nathan just looks at her, complete stoic expression, and goes, who are you? And she just gets this, oh no, look on her face. And then he starts slowly grinning and laughing. And like it's
and then like winces and like holds his shoulder. And like Elizabeth's like, Nathan Grant. Just like Nathan Grant. And he's just like, he laughs again. He's like, it hurts to laugh.
Oh my gosh,
that was so not hilarious. Funny. Yeah. That was not funny.
That was so good. I love that we're seeing this sarcastic side of Nathan coming out in this season, because he's always been so serious and like so shy and whatever. So I love that we're seeing this little side of him come out.
And I know Kevin's got to be excited, because Kevin's that kind of guy. He would be making all the jokes and all the tricks and pranks and everything. Like, you know, that's like something he's probably really digging right now. It's sarcastic and kind of have like a little bit of a grit to his sarcasm and his funniness.
Mm-hmm. And I know this is a scene that a lot of people are upset about. I'm sorry. I loved Morgan's eye roll there. That's what I started laughing about. But no, mine and your faces have no filter whatsoever. Like neither one of us.
I think you guys have learned that by now.
Oh my word.
So I'm sorry to those that are listening to us on Spotify and all that.
Not able to hear our faces.
Yeah. Or hear the rolls, the eyes rolling in the back of our heads, right?
Yeah. But you know, a lot of people are saying like, oh, she shouldn't be going to the hospital. She shouldn't be going in there visiting him, whatever. Like she shouldn't be that familiar with him. First of all,
medical information.
First of all, Lucas is the one that went and got her. So obviously Lucas does not have a problem with this. Second of all, she did not go in until Nathan asked to see her, and Faith
got permission from Faith.
Yeah. So it's not like she's just going in trying to take over, petting him, whatever else. And the reason he even wanted to see her, and Morgan had to remind me of this, I didn't even remember this, but the reason he asked to see her is he wanted her to check on Newton. And the reason being, if you think back to what season 6, season 7, so I think it was.
No, it was season 6 because Jack. Well, no, might have been season 7.
It was either season 6 or 6. It was either season 6.
It's either one of those two, because like Jack was still pretty little, like he was still having to be held. So, but he reached up. He was like petting Newton outside the Mounty's office, and Jack's like, "Wow, Newton usually doesn't take too kindly to strangers, so you guys make a good impression on him," or something like that.
Right. So for Elizabeth to be able to be one of the only ones that Newton would really have anything to do with, because he wouldn't have anything to do with just anybody. This is why Nathan is asking Elizabeth to be the one to go check on.
Here's my dirty clothes. Well, not dirty clothes, but my clothes I have it hanging in my closet. I had to get this little monster. Now you can't even see him. Can you see?
These blurs. There we go. Hey, Ambrose. He's like, what are you doing, big woman? But
another note was also he wanted to make sure that Allie didn't get told that he was in an accident. And I mean, with her being Allie's teacher and probably being the best person to go and make sure the kids didn't write her a letter or any of the parents to write her a letter telling her what was going on. It just made sense to me that she would be the one kind of in charge to make sure that didn't happen.
Yeah. So I think people are overreacting to that scene just a little bit.
And if you also think about it, if you also think about the fact that he doesn't want Allie to know, I'm sure he probably doesn't want his parents to know right now until he know, like, just to make sure they don't worry and like end up, coming all the way down here to make sure like he's okay. Like he doesn't have any other family besides his parents.
Right.
So I mean, they've kind of have to give someone, the medical information to make sure,
But anyway, so we have all of that. And then Elizabeth tries to go take care of Newton, and Robert and Angela are with her. And Newton is like not having it. Like he is not having anything to do with her, getting aggressive, whatever. And she finally just like steps out of the stall because she doesn't want to get hurt. Well, Robert takes it upon himself to ask May Sue to go check on Newton because she is a pharmacist. And he's like, so you're kind of like a doctor, right? And she's like, well, not completely, So May Sue goes to check on Newton and is able to like gain his trust. And such as
but he didn't react to May Sue at all like he did Elizabeth. Like he wasn't like he wasn't like making any noise towards her, wasn't like cooking his foot that's hurt at her or anything like that. She was able to get in that stall and be able to touch him like way quicker than Elizabeth even got a chance to even be anywhere near him.
Yeah.
So
so Newton is being taken care of. And all right, so y'all know we've had this race for mayor to that's been going on. Well, apparently Fiona dropped out of the race, which like just baffles me because that doesn't seem like something Fiona would do, but okay.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, especially with her being so much involved in the oil derricks. And with Hickam running for mayor, she probably knows that he's not going to be able to make as many decisions about the oil derrick as much as he would if he was to win for mayor.
Yeah. But anyway, so right now the race is between Bill Avery, Lee Coulter, and Mike Hickam. Am I the only one that still can't quite get used to him having a first name? He will always just be Hickam.
People will be like, even Lucas called him Michael.
Yeah.
I was like, who?
Yeah. It's like he's always gonna be
Hickam.
Yeah. Oh my word. But anyway, so it, this whole race is going on, and Ned and Florence come out. The scene where Bill and Lee are like pacing in front of the mercantile and like almost
run into each other.
Yes. They're acting like a couple of expectant fathers in a waiting room or something like that.
Yes.
That's what they're acting like.
Are you going to make a camera?
No. Not.
Here's you. That was Mama Hardy, guys.
But anyway. So I love when Florence comes out and it's like, points at the sign and they both start reading it out loud like a couple.
She's like, very good. Yeah. Very good. Like a mother or a teacher. Just like, scalding the two rowdy boys that don't want to listen.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it so much. But anyway, so basically when they come to announce who won the election,
you skipped over a part.
Oh, we'll come back to it. But when they go to announce the results of the election, they're like, it's inconclusive. And everybody in town is like, what? Nobody knows. They're like, we're sorry. And like just run back in the mercantile and close the door. Like they're afraid of people coming after them or something.
Like with pitchforks and
yeah, rotten tomatoes.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the part you were gonna say?
It was Hickam and Fiona at the barbershop. They're both just like standing there or whatever. You could tell that both of them, like Hickam's looking towards the mercantile and Fiona's looking over towards the jail. And like they're both just talking and they're like, I should go over there. Like, I should go over there. And they're like, where are you going? Where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to go see. Fiona's like, I'm going to go see and talk to Calvin. He's like, I want to go check on the mayor race. And we're like, maybe we should both stay where we are.
Yeah. I love their dynamic so much. Like they are my new favorite, honestly. Yeah. Like
her, like, I'll buy you a sarsaparilla.
Yeah, like, okay, calm down, kid.
Calm down.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out there because I was kind of thinking this when we were talking about Bill and Lee a second ago with the way Florence was handling them. I was thinking everybody knows men don't grow up, but I have always said it's our maternal instinct that gets us in trouble. That men get married because they want to have kids. Women get married because they know they'll always have one kid to take care of. I mean, I'm just being honest, okay? Guys never grow up. I personally feel like this whole growing up thing is a trap. I don't recommend it.
It is. I don't recommend it.
Yeah, and I will say, like, not to like bring a downer here, but I will say it is crazy what losing your mother will make you like grow up in a way that you probably would never grow up. I feel like I have aged 3 years in the past 3 weeks. Like, it's just a weird, you can't explain it thing, because in a way you're always your mama's kid.
Yeah.
You never,
no matter how old you are.
Yeah. So to not have that anymore, it's suddenly a, oh boy, like
it's like I told you, like, about that episode of This Is Us where one of the main characters, he loses his mom. Even though he was married and had kids of his own, it still shook him. And he like was crying one day and he's like, I don't have a mom anymore. Yeah. Like, she's not here. So
yeah. So that is a crazy thing, guys.
So I love this because I feel like it's probably a note towards the fans that we're always talking about what, like, this specific scenario always happening. Mm-hmm. But Elizabeth brings Lucas a cup of tea in a teacup that she brought him from Hamilton. And I don't know why, but I actually loved that. I was like, that was a nice little touch, because like they were up on his balcony where he always was, looking over the town, drinking his little teacup. We always, like, you even like we made fun of him in his teacup.
I love Lucas in his teacup. It's so iconic.
But like, it was like, that was just something I loved.
Yeah. What was it? What was that edit I did? It was like Lucas Bouchard, the man, the myth, the teacup, or something like that. I don't remember how exactly I did it, but I was like,
it was the man, the myth. Yeah, it was the man, the myth, the teacup.
Yeah, I was like, I love this guy and his teacup.
And then we did that one episode where you were like sipping out of your teacup, or I'm like just talking. I'm like, Kerri, and you're like, huh? Sorry, I was drinking my tea.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome. We had so much fun. Like, we seriously had so much fun with that. But yeah, I loved that the name of the boat, because Elizabeth was like, we had a boat like this when I was a kid, and we called it Safe Harbor, kind of basically saying, you are my safe harbor, you're my safe spot. And was that because he like tries to kiss her, and they start going to announce the results for the election, and that's when it was inconclusive.
Yeah.
And but then I don't remember like complete order of stuff. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, it has not even been.
I've got it written down because lately it's just been, our minds have both been kind of in a fog. So
yeah, it has like not even been 3 full weeks since my mother passed away. So I'm still experiencing some like mental issues here. but when Lucas brings Nathan the ice cream, this is another scene that so many people hated. Me and Morgan laughed our heads off. Like,
I did. I laughed.
Loved it so much.
I cringed a tiny bit because of the awkwardness of whenever he starts having that specific conversation that we're about to talk about. I did cringe a little bit, but I rewinded and I watched it again. And I loved it. I was like, you know what? No, I love this.
Well, I think again, I loved it because it's like I have always said those two are future best friends. It's like they're frenemies.
Yeah.
Or something. Like it's like they have this.
Used to their enemies. They were just completely like, you stay over here, I stay over here.
Yeah.
Let's just like stay away from each other. You know, we understand where we are with each other. Like, you know, and then now they're finally making their way to be frenemies and eventually make it to where they're just friends.
Yeah. And so I'm loving the element between them. But I think it's so cute when Elizabeth walks up to Lucas. He's like just walking out of the soda fountain with the ice cream. She's like, oh, is that for me? And he's like, no, it's for Nathan. She was like, oh, that's so thoughtful. And he was like, yeah, you better not get used to it.
And what does Nathan do? He takes advantage of it, buddy.
Oh my God. This is where I say it. I have enough of an innocent troublemaking streak to be loving this stuff where other people are hating it. Like I was seeing so many people go, oh, this is why I hate Nathan. He can't keep his mouth shut and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, get over yourself. You know, but
like, I'm sorry, but like, I just feel like Lucas would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
If he was the one that was hurt, laying in the bed, and Nathan came over trying to be anyways nice, offer to help in any kind of way, Lucas would milk that suck. Like, he would milk it. Are you kidding me?
And I feel like partially with Nathan, it was a sarcasm thing. I don't even feel like it wasn't even that. He was really genuine. It was almost like a, you know, and the fact that Lucas had said, yeah, you better not get used to it. And then Nathan's like, hey, would you do me a favor? Would you give me some more ice cream? He was like,
2 scoops this time, and his mouth is full of ice cream.
Yeah. He's like, hey, would you do me a favor? And Lucas is like, sure. And Nathan's like, oh, no, forget it. And Lucas is like, no, Nathan, please. What is it? He's like, would you give me some more ice cream? Only if it's not too much trouble. And Lucas is like, sure. And
he starts walking away. And he's like, you don't have to if it's, you know, this is guilt thing. He's like, guilt? He's like, yeah, about, you know, Elizabeth and everything. And he's like,
I don't have any guilt.
I don't have any guilt. He's like, okay, good. Because I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I love how he's like just still eating the ice cream while he's saying it. Yeah, because I sure would.
And he's like, Nathan, seriously, there's no guilt. He's like, I get it.
Yeah. 2 scoops.
2 scoops this time.
And he starts out the door, like starts closing the door.
Okay.
Lucas, like, I'm sorry, I picture this as a kid and a parent trying to get their kid to go to sleep. And the kid like keeps asking for stuff before the parent can get out of the room.
That's so true. I never even thought of that comparison.
Oh my God.
And then he's like, you can see like there's a little bit of exasperation on Lucas' face. It's like, can you get all of it out in one go, please? Like, what do you want? And he's like, yes. And look, and Nathan's like, and a cone. Like the way he says it was just like, I love it.
I love that Lucas is like, you got it. And closes the door. Oh my word.
And like the smile on Nathan's face when he closes the door, you knew he was doing it to mess with him. It was not even about the ice cream or the guilt or anything. It was just plainly trying to like just pull something on Lucas. I loved it.
Oh my gosh. I think what makes it better is knowing Kevin and Chris's relationship in real life. I've always said like technically Chris is the younger of the two, but I've always said that
like
Kevin,
2 years, I think, right?
I don't remember, but I've always said that Kevin seemed like the younger brother that would talk the older brother into doing something that's gonna get him in trouble. That is the dynamic of their relationship.
And it's so funny because Lucas and Nathan are the opposite. Lucas would try and get Nathan to do something stupid. And Nathan's like, I can't do that. If I get caught and I'm the one that's a freaking Mountie, you know.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Like, I love their dynamic so much. I have always loved scenes with the two of
I
them
can
because
always
they
see
just
the
have this.
potential there. I can always see the potential there and how they
Yes.
were with one another. Like, I still go back to the Save It
Yes.
episode. Like, that was a perfect example of how
I loved it when Nathan told Lucas that, because he had just kind of had enough, and I can't blame him. But then I loved it when Lucas threw it back at him. Like, I literally gave Lucas a ovation right there. Like, I just started applauding when he did that, because I was like, "You go, dude."
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little upset when Lucas did it the first time, but like the more I watched it, the more I laughed and was like, okay, okay.
No, those two have always had so much potential. I love it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Am I skipping anything else up to the actual?
Oh yeah. Whenever we were
result?
talking about them being on the balcony with the teacup.
Oh yeah,
Elizabeth. This is, I think, your favorite scene, probably.
Yes.
Okay, you go ahead and do it.
Yeah. That I don't remember her exact words, and you might have it written down, but she basically tells Lucas, not everything has to be big, grand gestures. And from all of Team Nathan, thank you.
About time. Could have done it 2 seasons ago.
Yes. Like, seriously, I've seen the Lucas this season I have wanted to see since season 6.
Right?
Yeah, like, he has deserved this. If he was meant to be the leading man all along, this should have been his storyline the entire time. They should have been building his character, should have been doing all of this stuff, and they just neglected to do that. But I love the fact that she's pointing that out to him, because Lucas never really had an example of a normal, healthy relationship put in front of him. Like, everything was high expectations and fairy tales and whatever else. So he's never really done this before. He doesn't really know what he's doing. So she's kind of having, she actually said, "You're a fast learner," when he comments like this little moment of you giving me a teacup. And she's like, "You're a fast learner." And he's like, "Well, I have the best teacher," which was such a cute little coy moment.
Yeah. I love whenever she was like talking about, like, she was complimenting him and he's like, "But," and she's like, and she added something else and he's like, "But," because he knew there was a button there, and I love that. That was kind of cute.
Yeah, but I love that she's able to talk to him about these things.
Yeah, and he doesn't automatically get defensive or
I'm really loving their relationship. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna go there.
I do feel, I mean, obviously there are some synopses that are coming out that do kind of have me a little worried about how things are gonna go. But I think that kind of has to happen. They can't keep being perfect, because they were pretty much just about almost perfect all season 8, just about, except for that one little part where, like, of course, he's like, what would you know about it, and that kind of thing, which I think was a genuine reaction. Like, that would be a reaction I would have had with that certain situation.
Yeah.
But I'm just loving that everything is going really smooth right now. But she was gonna drop, and I'm ready to see how they handle that. Another little scene that I loved.
Some cats.
Yeah, they're fighting. 1 second.
Sorry, y'all. Like we said, unedited. We might need to start editing our episodes.
I should have backed out on the swirly chair.
Y'all let us know in the comments, seriously, if y'all want us to start editing some of this stuff out of our episodes. I can do it.
Be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of prefer being ourselves and not trying to make ourselves seem perfect, because we're not. No accusations against anyone who edits their podcast. That's just never been our style. But if y'all think we should start editing our podcast, like I said, it'll just like take me longer to do stuff and whatever. But anyway,
I mean, crying out loud, you can't unedit all the stuff that's on my chair right now whenever I get up. So you guys are seeing it all.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, you were saying there was another little scene that you loved.
Oh yeah, Joseph and the Muffins. Joseph and the Muffins.
Yes.
I don't know why, but I loved that.
Yeah. Because guys don't grow up.
They don't. That was like a prime example of like guys do not grow up. They are impatient, they are childish, they don't listen. Because like that in a nutshell, like she told him 3 times, I just got those muffins out of the oven, and
He's like juggling
on
on his way out the door.
I'm like, seriously?
Child.
You're just gonna end up burning your tongue, and then you won't even be able to taste the muffin.
Oh my gosh. Seriously.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
So and then I want to say it's in the same scene from whenever. Okay, so whenever Robert and Angela were trying to convince May to go check on Newt and everything.
Oh yeah, Cooper.
Robert offers to work the pharmacy, or at least not the pharmacy part, but the soda fountain part.
Right, watching the.
And of course, he says, you're going to eventually learn that I'm the right man for the job.
I loved that. Oh my
I
gosh,
loved
I love
that.
him.
And then, so I loved that part, but also like the way that him and Angela have been, especially in this episode, it's just I'm really just like, what is going on? Like, what's going to happen when Allie gets here? Like, like, is it going to be another triangle? I hope not, because I swear, y'all. I swear. But I love that, like, he was like offering to like teach her how to ride horse. And like Angela comes back like, well, Opal told me.
Yeah. What Opal told me, you might need to take some lessons before you try teaching me. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just let the guy have his moment. Like, you could not just let the man have his moment.
So right before this, okay, so this is the last scene before we get to the mayor announcements. It literally happens right before we find out. Elizabeth comes to talk to Gowan.
Oh, we still skipped over Cooper right there. Like right before May Sue leaves, that Minnie comes in the drugstore to get Cooper because he was supposed to come by the cafe
to do
practice the spelling.
Yeah.
And when she gets him outside, she's like, you know what it is to make a promise and to break a promise. And he's like, Mama, I need to ask you something and I don't want you to get mad. She's like, what is it? He's like, do I have to come to church? And she was like, when? And he was like, ever again? That's
where it kind of cuts off.
Yeah, but then that was what Joseph and Minnie were talking about in the cafe. Joseph's like, why wouldn't he come to me? And she was like, because he doesn't want to disappoint you.
Yeah.
So.
And I love this storyline because it speaks so true to so many people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're as young as Cooper or if you're as old as Joseph. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how long you've been in church, how long,
Well, I mean, Cooper is what, like 10, 12 years old. So he's at that stage. And I'm sorry, I have always felt sorry for preachers' kids. Like, I remember, I think I was 15 years old when the pastor that I had at the time asked me if I wanted to marry a preacher. And I didn't tell him I didn't want to. Although at the time I didn't. But when you're talking to a preacher, you don't really want to insult him. And tell him, no, I don't want to marry a preacher.
Right.
So I just said, well, here's the way I figure that. God knows everybody in the world better than I know myself. So I'm just going to let him make that decision, was kind of how I passed that off diplomatically.
Perfect romance. Perfect answer, in my opinion.
Although in my brain, I was going, no way, not happening, not, whatever. I was like, I always felt
like, you're going to have to smack me across the back of the head with a frying pan, Jesus.
Yeah. Although it was funny, like through my teen years, he was the first one. Through my teen years, I got told by probably at least a dozen people who had no idea anybody else had ever said that they thought I would marry a preacher. Yeah. So nobody be surprised if I end up married to a preacher. But
my best friend is a preacher's kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it is hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's like people expect you to be perfect because you're the preacher's kid.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
no.
Yeah. If you slip out of line even an inch, and what's crazy is that the people in the church are probably more inclined to be,
Critical.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to like be so quick to crucify them than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand, and especially with Cooper being at that age, he's starting to really be able to notice things that's going on around him. His focus isn't just on school, on his friends, and all that kind of stuff. And plus, like, for crying out loud, they like, when you're a kid, you don't really notice adult like things. You know,
Right.
you notice changes and stuff, and like, you know, eventually we do find out. Like, I know everyone probably already knows why Cooper felt like this or whatever, because I mean, all of you probably all watched the third episode. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. The reason why he was upset and everything is very classified. His sister gets sick and becomes blind. Well, he was sick, same thing. He wasn't as sick as Angela was, but he was sick with the same thing. So why didn't he become blind? Why was it Angela? It always goes back to why things happen, like why God allows things to happen. I think all of us, at least once in our life, has asked ourselves, like, why? It's not that you're not. I mean, you can go in the wrong direction with it. But I feel like, you know, him being as young as he is and already starting to question things, I mean, it's not that uncommon.
Yeah.
And I think Minnie and Joseph handled it right.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to be careful in that kind of a situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. You said there was one other scene before the election results.
Yes. Elizabeth comes to see Gavin in his office.
Yeah, that's right.
And she mainly comes to see him and talk to him and ask him if he would come to the school and talk to the kids, because they, of course, live in a small town. They all probably heard about the fight that happened, and she doesn't want him to get the impression that that's okay to do. Well, within that conversation, Gowan, what really, actually at first, he obviously asked how his trip was. He says it was great. He went and saw Christopher and Rachel, and like they're gonna get married, and that's awesome. And he's like, you know, I know you and Abigail write to each other quite frequently, and she's like, you will never know how touched she was that you came and saw her. We got it right, y'all. When I saw that was the first thing I thought.
At your house when that happened. I said, well, I can imagine some screaming at your house when that happened.
Pretty much. Because I was like, we got it right. Just like I did whenever Nathan's Secret came out and we were right. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I love that because I knew it. I was like, yes, there was no way he wasn't going to go and see her.
Yeah, I loved it so much. Like, just the fact that, okay, so up to this point, Ned has been the only one to know. And I still don't know how the heck he kept that from Florence. But anyway.
Honestly, I feel like Elizabeth always knew.
Yeah, but we never knew that.
But she just never said anything because it wasn't her business. It wasn't anybody else's business.
Yeah. So I think it's sweet that kind of we're starting to see that other people know now.
Yeah.
But while they're talking, there's like a bell that starts ringing, and Elizabeth's
bell
like,
in the church.
Let's have a new mayor. So they walk out.
I love that they're using the bell.
Yes. So everybody gathers in front of the Yost Mercantile, and Ned starts making the announcement. He's like, you know, after some sleep and, you know, going back over the results.
Louder!
Yeah,
Bill hollers.
Yeah, Bill hollers out louder, and Lisa hollers out and funnier. And they were like, we now have a duly elected mayor of Hope Valley, and our new mayor is Michael Hickam. And Bill,
Everybody's like,
like the whole crowd is like just stunned to silence. And then Fiona's like, ah! Like she just starts freaking out, and it's hilarious. And then she's like,
she finally realizes it. She's like, oh, where'd he go?
What makes this even funnier is the fact that he is not there.
He's not there. And Bill's like,
Bill said,
already a bad bear.
yeah, what was it? Bill said he's already a lame duck or something like
Yeah.
that. I don't remember
Yeah.
what. Oh my gosh.
Classic Bill.
Yes, it was so funny. But I love how enthusiastic Fiona is for Hickam, like just to see him succeed and do well. Their dynamic.
I could be wrong, and maybe it's how they're trying to make it be a longer slow burn. But I mean, you can clearly see that Hickam has something for Fiona, and his isn't even that like it was probably more noticeable in season 8 than it, like for the past 3 episodes. It hasn't been so apparent that he has
I
feelings.
feel like they've more just kind of settled in.
Yeah, they finally kind of just settled to be like, you know, but
gotten to know each other.
Especially because they had that where he was like, you know, where he's, I don't know exactly what he was said, but he said something, and the way that she kind of reacted, it kind of made him see like, oh, she doesn't have feelings for me like that.
Yeah.
She's like, I just see like, just, you know, friends, partners, you know. And because like, I don't know, I'm kind of stumped on whether or not, you know, they're just going to be friends, or if they're going to will eventually start liking him as more than a friend, or what.
Yeah.
I will say that I don't know if it was season, I want to say it was episode 1. Fiona and Lucas did have like a tiny little exchange because of the fact that she brought in Smith, and Lucas was like, you know, did you know, and stuff like that.
And
Like,
I
don't
know
know why, but that
see
little
the
exchange.
potential there.
Me too. And they're out matching again. Just saying.
Oh, my word.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
And, I think this happened whenever Lucas was bringing the ice cream to Nathan, but Elizabeth walked in to talk to May, I guess, to thank her for taking care of Newton.
well, she had
And
not
like
really
Lucas
met her
walks in
up
because he
to that
forgot
point either.
his food. Yeah. So Lucas walks in because he forgot his food and then walks out, and then Elizabeth is still like kind of watching the door from where Lucas just locked down. Like obviously May sees, she's like, handsome. And Elizabeth's just like, very. I was like, okay, that's cute. That's a really cute.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I like the fact that so Gowan got locked up at the end of episode 1 for punching Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith pressed charges. And then in episode 2, Mr. Smith dropped the charges, and Mr. Gowan didn't really know what the deal was with that. He ends up like finally having a conversation with this guy, and the guy's like, I'm sorry that the company did not listen to you about your warnings with the mine. And he's like, that's part of the reason I left, is because they were all about just making money. And he was like, basically, I want this to work. I want you to still be willing to be on board with this oil company, because it's gonna, you know, this is the future, and you're gonna regret not being a part of it. And
it's true, because obviously speaking from 2022, like oil is huge. It still is.
Yeah.
You know, especially for like gas and heat and like everything. So yeah.
So I love the fact that they kind of sort of made up there. And after the election results, I forgot this too. When Mike comes busting in the saloon, I won! Got the arms going and everything. And Bill and Lee are sitting there playing cards. Yeah, and it's like they're both
And Bill's like,
yeah, like giving him a death glare.
but I'm
Lee-
pretty sure if looks could kill, my Hickam would be dead. Because Bill was not having it.
and just sitting there like this open mouth, like, are you kidding me? Look on his face.
Because
And Mike-
Lee and Bill were just playing cards. They were finally kind of just like, you know, playing
Yeah.
cards. And it comes to Hickam like that. And they're like, really?
And then I love how he like I came over to congratulate you gentlemen on the heart race. And like it's so serious.
And neither one of them said anything.
Yeah, neither one of them
And then he
said
just
a word.
turns around. He turns around and he goes, like,
Yes.
just like cheering more as he goes out the saloon. I'm like, that was gold.
It was so cute. And then the scene between him and Fiona in the barbershop where she's shaving him. And she's like, where were you anyway? And he's like, I was helping a neighbor round up some cows that had gotten loose. But to be honest with you, I was just avoiding being there for the results. And
He was avoiding Gowan.
yeah. And he just he tells her, he was like, you know, as mayor, I don't think it's gonna be in my best interest to be kind of so involved in the oil company. And he was like, so I'm gonna give you my shares of the oil company. She's like, no, Mike, you can't do that. You know, I can't take that. And he was like, kind of, I want you to have this. And he was like, if you ever decide to sell them, then we'll settle up. But he was like, you know, I want you to have this kind of controlling interest, I guess, at this point. So, I mean, now
All because of how she handled the whole situation between Gowan and Smith, the fact that she finally came clean to him and about like her nickels and dime store, and about how the whole reason why she did her sign that like that was to treat people with kindness and equality and, you know, being fair and even and everything.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that Hickam actually trusted Fiona to get near his ear again.
yes. I love when he like came out of the barbershop like holding his ear.
He's like, don't pass out, don't pass out, don't pass out.
Don't pass out, don't pass out, don't pass out. Oh my gosh, I love him so much. He is so cute.
Oh, and in the church, whenever, you know, and he's like,
Yeah.
Mayor, you want to say a few words? And he finally stands up and like everybody's turning around to him and he's kind of like standing there for a second. He's like, what you said?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that just reminded me another scene from episode 3 that was one of my favorites that I'll have to tell you later. But
Okay.
yeah, this whole thing, like I was shocked Lee is not mayor, but at the same time, I actually kind of liked it because it showed, like we were talking about this, like how Hickam even became mayor was because the vote was split, like the majority vote was split between Bill and Lee.
Yeah.
So like for example, if Hickam only got like I'm trying to do math in my head here. If Hickam only got like 40% of the vote and there's 60% more of the vote, but that is split between Bill and Lee, then each one of them only got 30% and Hickam got 40%. So that's kind of how he became mayor, not because he technically got the most votes, but because the majority votes were split between those two.
Yeah.
So that's how he even became mayor. Like I love at the beginning of it when he's like, why did I campaign on fire safety? He obviously did not have a strong campaign. I love him. He is like just a child.
I do hope he does,
Brilliant.
because some people have actually come out and be like, what if like Hickam quits or like they deem him unfit to be mayor and then Lee becomes it? And it's like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know. Like I see him being able to handle it.
Yeah, I think it'll be a
he's a
struggle
good
at
man.
first, but I think it's going to be kind of like one of those things where it's like eventually everyone's going to see like, oh wow, we were wrong to question Mike from being mayor, you know?
Yeah.
Like being able to really prove themselves, because like no one questions whether or not Bill or Lee can, because they obviously see how they handle themselves, period. you know,
Yeah.
how they
I mean, if you
like
think about
how
it, Gowan,
they handle.
well, I mean, if you think about it, like in earlier seasons, that Hickam was like Lee's right hand man, pretty
Yeah,
much, and then Gowan put him in charge of Gowan Petroleum and whatever.
yeah,
So he's obviously capable,
yeah,
and obviously capable. And I mean, even in this episode, when Mr. Smith is Jerome Smith, when he was talking about like, you know, some like, oh, this was a great idea to do this and this, you know, that, you know, maximized your efforts here. And Gowan told him that was Mike Hickam's idea.
yeah,
This was all him, you know. So I mean, obviously Mike is very capable. It's like, but nobody thinks of him as the leadership role or whatever, although he's
yeah.
obviously very capable of it.
No, I agree. Yeah, I think he's gonna. I think that's what I think it will become the best option
Mm-hmm.
as far as telling a story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But when after so Mike gives Fiona his shares of Gallon Petroleum. So I love it when Mr. Smith's leaving town. She's like, beep, beep, you know, like running out the door. And Lee's like, where are you going? And she was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, you sure are in a hurry to get there, you know, but she's going with Mr. Smith because now she owns this much of the company. She wants to like talk to him and figure out a deal and whatever. So she's like so mission minded. I love her.
yeah.
Hey, what was the other thing? I was thinking of something just a second ago and my brain has like skipped over it. Shoot. When and we kind of touched on this a little bit last episode, but how Bill is not like his usual suspicious self with like Mason. Like normally if somebody comes into town, he is like practically third degree.
He's like a hound dog. He sniffs them out and he's like, who are you? Why are you here? What is your problem? Because obviously you should not be here. This is a small town. What business do you have here? Like nobody comes to this town unless it's for business and I want to be all up in it. What's up? What's going on?
Yeah. So for him to just be like, oh yeah, oh, you need help? Okay, sure. Can we talk about this later? Yeah, sure, no problem. Just whenever you're ready. And it's like, who are you? And what did you do to Bill Avery? You know, like, but I think he was seeing something in her, like obviously seeing how she was able to interact with Newton and whatever.
Yeah.
He knew there was something good in her, I think.
Yeah.
But still, it's just like, because he even said, he was like, you know, I'm not just.
And I love like they agreed, like, because she even talked about how she is a simple-minded, like she's a straight shooter.
Straightforward. Yeah, straight shooter.
Yeah, she's straight to the point, and that tends to not be pleasing to people, and that's how it's like she's more, you know, I guess she has more of a way with animals than she does people because she's a fat, like she's quick to the point. She's, you know, simple words, that kind of stuff. And Bill's like, that's how I am. Like, and that really is how Bill is too. Like Bill cut straight to the chase. He doesn't wing around the bush. He doesn't do any of that. He's straight to the point, and that's it. And that's how he is. And I can kind of see where that might get her in trouble because she's a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like most people perceive us women as people who are soft-spoken and understanding, and you know.
Well, and back in that day, women were more supposed to keep quiet and not voice their opinions and whatever, you know.
In the kitchen and stick to what they're supposed to be doing, which is making a house a home and being over the children and cooking. Yeah.
Yeah. So she would kind of be a quote unquote renegade, I guess. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, one thing I did skip over was that Fiona did go to Mr. Gowan and apologize to him for bringing Mr. Smith in without. She's kind of like, you know, I got ahead of myself. You know, I should have consulted you, but I saw an opportunity and I went for it. You know,
and I should have thought about everyone else involved.
Yeah, and I love that they talked that out and that he saw just kind of how responsible she was for her actions, even when she made a mistake and whatever.
It really made him respect her more. You could see it.
Yeah. But also, since Lee is not the mayor, you know, he's kind of moping around, and Rosemary comes up with the brilliant idea to make him managing editor of the Valley Voice. which I still don't know how I feel about this. I'm going to be honest, because I feel like this could go really good or really bad.
That's how I feel. Because like
Yeah.
those two working close together, first of all, they're sharing the office as it is.
Mhm.
They're gonna be working like all day long with each other at the office and then going home with each other.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but those two are opposites enough to be attracted to each other and make it work as a marriage. But I feel like with that much closeness all the time, I have a feeling that Lee's gonna take a lot of walks
Yeah.
to get
Yep.
out of that office.
Yep.
Because and we do know that they hit a sour note because
Mhm.
of, in the trailer you can kind of see they were having some sour notes or whatever.
Mhm. Well, and even in episode 3, you see an issue kind of come up, and just them having to work on that. And we'll get more into that, but
Yeah, not sure
another-
how I feel about either. I definitely don't see that as his calling.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I don't know what else could possibly be his calling. Because like I for sure thought he was going to win mayor. I really did.
Yeah.
Because of the way because especially on that specific episode, like he was giving his speech, he was talking about what he wanted to do as mayor. And like I saw the way that Bill was, and I saw the way, and they weren't even really talking about what Hickam wanted to do, like why Hickam wanted to run for mayor. He wanted to be a part of the meetings and be a part of what the important stuff that was going on, and like what was being passed, what was being approved, and what was being dismissed about the town, like what things were coming in and out of town and things like that. But we didn't really hear anything else that he wanted to do as mayor.
Yeah.
And with Bill, he kind of was mainly just talking about all the stuff that was changing. And I feel like for Bill, he wanted to be mayor so he could kind of stop some of that growth that he didn't see was going to be beneficial for Hope Valley. He kind of had more of a negative outlook on how he saw the progression. But with
I feel like
Lee,
Lee was somewhere in the middle.
he was like perfectly in the middle, where he wanted to be a part of the good coming into Hope Valley and the improvements and the that kind of stuff that was coming into Hope Valley, but he didn't want things to come in that would change why we all love Hope Valley. He even said that he's like, I want to be a part of the change. I want to be a part of the new age coming in, but I don't want it. I want to also be a part of making sure that Hope Valley stays the way that we all love it for all the reasons why we love it.
Mhm.
So he was like in that perfect middle where he wanted to be a part of the change and the growth that was coming that you couldn't really stop even if you wanted to, but he also wanted to try and be the protector and stop things that were bad coming in too.
Right.
So that's why I'm not gonna lie, kind of makes me wonder if Hickam is gonna stay mayor.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like Lee. Y'all, it's 11:30. My brain is not working right. I feel like Lee is kind of going through a quote unquote growth spurt, like a personality growth spurt. And again, I'm not wanting to talk about the stuff from episode 3, but I feel like in episode 3 we kind of see him discovering a voice that he didn't necessarily know he had, and like a boldness or whatever. So I don't know. I can see it going either way. I mean, I'm curious to see what they have for it.
And I feel like as a mayor, you need to be bold.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but Hickam definitely needs to work on his boldness.
Yeah. I feel like Hickam is actually very capable of that. Again, I feel like it's more of he just needs the opportunity.
Yeah. That's
what
I was thinking.
I feel like so many times there's so many other, what's the word, authoritative figures around that he doesn't necessarily feel at liberty to just speak up and make his voice heard. But obviously when he gets something handed to him, he's very capable of coming up with his own plan and implementing it and whatever.
Yeah.
And obviously he's got Fiona supporting him. We all know behind every good man there's a good woman telling him what to do. So
exactly.
But I feel like the other interesting thing here is that Lucas is offering to let Mr. Smith buy him out. But basically it comes with a condition that they still keep Mr. Gowan as part of that. And I love that he's looking out for Henry. Those two have like an unlikely, I'm not even sure I would call them friends. They just have an unlikely
partnership.
Yeah. It's like just a little
an
above
understanding of each other. They just have
Yeah.
an understanding of each other, and they're like, you know, we may not agree on everything, but there are things that we agree on, and this is definitely something a
I
place
think they
for.
respect each other as
Yeah.
businessmen and stuff. They
Yeah.
respect each other's abilities.
And Lucas knows that Gallon would be the best option for the petroleum for this whole for what they're doing here, because Gallon's been all up in it way longer than any of the other ones. He knows a lot about it. So he would be the best. That would be the best option.
I'm curious to see what it is, and again, this kind of comes up at the end of episode 3. But what it is that Lucas has in mind, because he told Elizabeth in episode 1 that he was thinking about selling his share of the oil company and getting out of that. And she's like, "No, I never asked you to do that." And he was like, "She's like, you love being an entrepreneur." And he was like, "Oh, I've got other things in mind, you know," but that he's just wanting to get out of the oil business itself. Which I almost wonder if that's going to be a bad financial move on his part.
Honestly, and I feel like this is kind of teased a little bit in the season 4 trailer, because he offers to babysit baby Jack. Oh, why do I still want to say baby Jack?
I don't know, but you said season 4 too, so episode 4 trailer.
Like we said, right now it's 10:30 my time and 11:30 her time.
Yep.
He offers to babysit little Jack because Laura's sick. I feel like something's definitely going to happen, because with him offering to babysit little Jack, especially during like a weekday, because obviously like she's got school that she's got to go teach, so obviously it's not like a weekend or anything. He's not staying busy. And I mean, obviously he can't.
Which I mean, this whole time he's been saying he wanted to spend more time with her and little Jack. So I mean, that's kind of been his purpose. What he's been working toward is making more
but
time.
He's going to quickly see that also leaves him still with a lot of time, because like she's got school, and eventually Jack's going to start school.
That ought to be
and I mean, there's only so much conversation you can have with like a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
So a 3 or 4-year-old.
Yeah.
So kind of leaves him with a lot. And I mean, even though he does still have the saloon kind of takes care of itself, because Gustav's got the food and everything. Other than him probably doing like the real business side of it, it's probably not a lot of business side of it.
Right.
Making sure the money is right and all that kind of stuff. There's probably not a lot that he has to do continuously, you know.
Yeah.
So
I remember, and I don't know if they'll go with the storyline or not, but I remember an interview that Chris did in season 8 where he talked, or it might have been after the finale, but where he talked about that he would love to see Lucas go broke, like have money problems.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so him wanting to get out of the oil business, there's a side of me that wonders if this is going to end up being a bad business move, or you know, whatever. I mean, we're starting to get that element of mystery with Lucas again.
Yeah.
And I mean, we know from like synopsis of this season that there's going to be a point where Elizabeth is going to be questioning whether or not she has a future with Luke, you know. So,
but his past, but that's dealing with his past coming out.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you wonder, because that could also kind of potentially cause him to go broke, because if he's being sued, or you know, if something's going on, like maybe he's put stock in things and that kind of goes bad, or you know, you can go broke in so many ways, you know.
And who doesn't? May not have anything to do with money. I mean, who? No, I'm curious to see what they've got.
I'm curious to know what happens, and I'm definitely curious as to how they're going to handle it.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what's crazy is that a lot of Nathan people have come out and like, what if like, you know, what if this actually breaks them and she finally goes back to Nathan? That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't really see that happening either.
Not going to happen. And I don't want that to happen. Yeah. Why would it be saying team? I mean, guys, I love you guys, but like, is that really what you would want for Nathan?
To be second choice?
to be like only like, oh,
rebound
because like her boy, like that didn't work out. Really? That's how you want that to go?
Well, I mean, it does happen in real life, that people
Very
break
rarely.
up and, I mean, I guess it does, but it just wouldn't really make for good
I mean,
writing.
it's like I've said from pretty much day one, I've always hated triangles.
Yeah.
Because to me, their relationship is always going to be tainted. You have to be very, very careful when it comes to triangles. Like the way they used to do triangles was exactly how it should have gone, where you can clearly see who she was going to pick from the very start. And, like for instance, the best one would be probably Billy Hamilton and Jack, and even Charles and Jack. It was as clear as day that, yeah,
Not even fate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you can clearly see that those two were going to be together. You clearly saw that the other one was not even truly in the competition.
Yeah.
Like she was only, I feel like Elizabeth was only even flirting or doing anything with Billy Hamilton because it got on Jack's nerves.
Well, because she didn't think Jack was interested in her. So it's like,
yeah, because how they bickered and fought.
Jack, are you jealous? I don't have to be jealous to be concerned. I'm just saying, throw down the hay where the goats can get to. Are you calling me a goat?
And the Charles, Jack, and Faith and Elizabeth thing all happened together too, because like she was like getting jealous of her Faith, and Faith's just like, really? I was at the hospital because my brother got into a car wreck with your sister and she was driving. That like, oh gosh. But yeah, you can clearly see that,
me and my dad were watching Signed, Sealed, Delivered the other night, and between Oliver and Shane, there's semi sort of triangle, but it's not really, with a friend of Oliver's that he admittedly had a crush on like 15, 16 years ago. And I mean, you like, the question gets asked about them, and they're always just like, it was just never the right timing. Like they think the world of each other, and you can tell she has feelings for him. Her name is Dale Travers.
Yeah.
And she's a cop, and you can tell that she has feelings for him, which is why Shane feels threatened. But like, for example, she shows up at Oliver's church to say something to him or whatever, and she sees him with Dale, so she starts to leave because she thinks, oh, he's with this girl, and he stops her and is talking to her, introduces them, whatever. And it's like every time Dale is around, she starts feeling threatened. But I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but he's known this woman for like 15, 16 years, and yet he's asking you out. So why should you feel threatened by this woman that he has known for the better part of 20 years when you're the one he's asking out? If he wanted to ask this other woman out, he would obviously be doing it. He's had the opportunities to get over yourself, But it's like she always feels threatened by that, and that drives me nuts. But then with Norman and Rita, Norman is always jealous of Ramon, who Rita has no feelings for whatsoever, but Ramon is just like this big suave character that, like smooth talker, can do anything and everything, whatever. And Norman hates him, like literally just hates this guy because he's so perfect, And it's like he is always jealous of Ramon when he has literally asked Rita point blank, do you have feelings for him? And she's like, no, I'm in love with you idiot. So the triangles like that, where it's so unreasonable for them to be jealous, and yet they are, like, every stinking time. And I'm like,
yeah, I mean, okay, so I haven't watched Signed, Sealed, Delivered a whole lot. I do want to, but I remember like in the one I love, which has of course Kevin in it, the one that Kevin's in. I remember a scene between them with Ramon, and like him obviously getting jealous, and she's like getting all inspired because like he's able to read the love note that they find and all that kind of stuff. She's like obviously getting romanticized by him speaking in another language that is romantic. And then of course, Oliver's ex-wife,
wife at the time. Yeah.
Wife at the time comes back from Paris
Mm-hmm.
and all that. And that whole thing goes on. That was kind of a love triangle a little bit. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, because that was the episode where they finally, like, she had left him like 2 years before and they had never gotten a divorce. So they finally, like, at the end of that episode, finally decided
Did the papers and everything. Yeah.
yeah, and basically set him free because she's not coming back, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But Shane thought that she was coming back,
Mhm.
obviously.
Yeah. So yeah, that whole thing there.
But that's how you write love. That's probably how you write a triangle. But yeah, like, I mean, you're, I don't know, you know, that's just not gonna, once they pick someone though, that's it. Very,
Mhm.
very rarely, especially on TV shows, do they back out of that and like have them regret picking the person that they did pick and go to the one they should have picked.
Mhm.
Like, you know, so.
And of course, people on both sides are going to say it was obvious from the start who.
Yeah.
So
Look,
we're not
I
going to
still
argue
believe-
that point.
Okay, me and her have went over this, and I'm not even gonna say you were up to this, but like we feel like it was a flipped script.
Mhm.
We just have those facts in our heads. We've seen it foolproof that it was a flipped script. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but it was. But
Like
either way,
photograph evidence, y'all. You can't argue with that. I don't care what you want to say. And
you can
I
call
do-
it Photoshop all you
wanna
want
say
to.
this- I do want to say this real quick, that I appreciate the fact that we do have a few Team Lucas people that have
Yeah.
started following our podcast and stuff.
Hi
You
guys.
know, one of them, yeah, hi, welcome. One of them commented the other day and was like sharing their opinion and basically saying, like, I tried watching this and I just don't see what y'all saw, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And like listening their opinion. But you went about it so respectfully. We do not have any problem whatsoever with you expressing your opinion.
Absolutely
That's
not.
what we do here. But I love the fact that you went about it in a way that did not come across at all like you were trying to pick a fight, which is the way most people come across because they have so much anger about it. Like Team Lucas is angry at Team Nathan. Team Nathan is angry at Team Lucas. I'm over it. Okay. I'm over the hyped up emotions. I'm over the coming into this expecting not to like it and just the attitudes and the snarkiness and everything else. And I'm just over it. So thank you to the person who was able to be an adult and say your opinion without coming across.
Yeah, I'll even go and let me see. I'm gonna shout one of them out that I know that private messaged me on Instagram.
Yeah.
And was so kind. Just like, and at first she couldn't even get it for some reason. Like, if you can't access me through messages on my Teen Nathan Grant account, comment on one of my posts. Because for some reason it's not, Instagram is not letting people message me if I'm not like following them. But anyways, let me see if I can find their it was a little while back. I want to say that it happened. No, I can't find it. But she was just really respectful about it. But she pretty much just commented and said that she was really that she thanked me for just being kind about the whole Lucas thing and how we were not necessarily like being a fan of Lucas, but we also were being considerate of him and things like that. And that even though she is a Team Lucas person, she's going, like, she had just found our podcast, was finally able to kind of was finally starting to watch it. Let's see. I mean, she even messaged about your mom and everything. I mean,
I remember that.
Yeah, like you had 2 Lucas people do that. And they were just really sweet about things. They were like, you know, I know that we don't agree as far as the triangle goes, but you know, you guys were always so respectful about it. You know, you didn't let your anger get the best of you and insult Lucas. You know, and I kind of replied to them. I'm like, hey, you know, we've always loved Lucas. We've always loved the character of Lucas. We may not have liked him and the pairing with Elizabeth and that aspect of him, As far, but I mean, it didn't really change our likeness of Lucas. It's just we didn't
Right.
see the connection between Elizabeth and him. We didn't see what you guys were seeing, just like you guys don't see what we see.
Mhm.
Um,
And again, it goes back to what I mentioned. I think it was last episode or this episode. I don't remember. It's almost midnight. But about the birthday card, where
yeah,
I read it one way and hated it. My brother read it one way and thought it was
thought it was
hilarious. My
funny.
brother read it another. My mother read it a totally different way. Thought it was sweet. So I mean, everybody sees something different, and I think your life experience makes a difference in that, because like so many people were saying they've been in toxic relationships before. That's how they could recognize uh toxic traits in Nathan. And I was like, yeah, I've been in toxic relationships before too. That's how I could recognize toxic things in Lucas. That's how I
Yeah,
could, whatever. But I think it's the experience you've had and even what you find more attractive. Because,
yeah,
like, for example, I mean, Chris, he's a handsome guy. Like, he is a good looking guy. But I'm sorry, I find Kevin way cuter than I do Chris. And that's just
yeah.
me. That's just my personal taste. And then I have a friend of mine who was Team Lucas like from the start, and she doesn't really like Kevin. Like, she's like, he's not my type. I prefer Chris. And I'm like, well, Chris isn't my type. I prefer Kevin. So I mean, everything about this is going to impact how you feel about it. And we should not take that out on each other, because God created us all different. And he did
Yeah.
that for a reason. And this would be a very boring world if we were all the same. So
It would literally be, I mean, that'd be like literally if everyone was robots,
yeah,
that'd be kind of a cold world.
yeah.
Just saying.
I mean, as much as you and I are like, we still have our
Guys, it gets
different.
freaky sometimes. Not gonna lie. It gets freaky a little times.
It really does. But I mean, even as much as you and I are like, there are still some ways that you and I are different. And I mean, it would be boring if we were 100% alike.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but as
Yeah,
much
because
as
there's been times like you saw a scene totally different than I did.
yeah,
And a lot of times me and you will get on FaceTime together and be like, okay, did you see this scene? Kind of like whenever we were talking about this one specific scene that we're going to be talking about in the third episode.
mm-hmm.
Because me and you did see it differently than I did, but not in a negative way.
Yeah, mine
Because
was more like
I
a
went
personal
online.
experience.
Yeah, because I went online and saw a completely different reaction to that scene than I had. And so, like,
and
you
neither
know
one
what?
of us saw that.
Yeah, and then like me and you both, I was like, because I was going to test it out. I'm like, I'm going to ask Kerri whenever she watches the episode. I'm going to ask Kerri because I watched it before you did. You were still trying to catch up with episode 1 and 2.
Yeah,
I
just watched episode 3 today. So
yeah, exactly. So I asked you today about that one specific scene because I'm like, I'm not going to tell her why I'm asking this. I'm not going to tell her the other opinions about everyone else online. I'm just going to ask you this question and you tell me honestly. You gave me a reaction completely different from mine, but we were both kind of on the same track.
mm-hmm.
And everyone else had more of like a negative reaction to that scene. And I mean,
like part of that too, I feel like a lot of people these days, I think it's in the movie Pollyanna, and supposedly it's a quote by Abraham Lincoln, that if you look for the bad in people, you will surely find it.
mm-hmm.
But I feel like so many people these days just want to find something to complain about. Those people that aren't happy if it's sunny, it's too hot. If it's raining, it's too, whatever. Like, you're just never going to be able to make some people happy.
Yeah.
And for me and you, we're going to try, like, even when everything went on with like Brian Bird and whatever, that I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give him a second chance. And like, I'm just that person. I'm the person that will give somebody second, third, fourth, fifth chances, because I know I'm not perfect. And if I screw up, I don't want somebody to just write me off. So, and like,
I mean, it's easy to get our emotions. Like, trust me, I've made my mistakes. I've probably said something on here that I probably don't even feel the same way about it anymore.
Yeah, same.
So, I mean, you're also like, I think another thing with this cancel culture nowadays, you can't take things back anymore. You can't change your mind. You can't grow. It's like if you've said something once, you will always be that person.
Yeah.
You will always be a negative
See,
person.
I
You always be
I cannot
you know.
stand it when people want to know, like, what's your plan? What do you want to be 10 years from now? And I'm like, I want to have the freedom to change my dreams.
Yeah.
If I don't want to still be this 10 years from now and God leads me in a different direction, then I want that to be okay. I don't want somebody to be like, no, you said you were going to do this, and this is what you've got to do. I'm not the person to tie myself down to that. I want to set goals in my life. I want to try to achieve things, but I also want to be open to be willing to change and to not beat myself up for having to learn something. I mean, with my mother just passing away, my biggest fear right now is that I'm going to screw something up because all of a sudden I'm in charge of helping my dad with his business paperwork and paying the bills and whatever else. And I'm like, it's not like I got married and moved out and I had time to mentally prepare for all this and doing my own stuff. All of a sudden I'm opening my mother's bills and, doing all this stuff. And it's like, I'm freaking out. Example being, and we'll try to wrap this episode up, y'all, sorry, but example being, the other day the power bill came in and I opened it and just looked at the amount. I didn't look at when it was due. And then I went back and looked at it like an hour later and looked at the due date. It was due in 2 days. First of all, the power bill should not have been coming in 2 days before it was due, but that was not my fault. But I freaked out because I was like, what if I hadn't gone back and looked at that? What if, whatever? And I was like, we could have had our power disconnected and blah, 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 blah. And I had to just stop myself and go, but you didn't. You went back and you looked at it and you called and you paid the bill and it's handled and everything's okay. But I'm like, this is a learning curve for me. I should not feel guilty for not knowing something that I've never had to do. Yes, I had business math in school. Yes, my mother had me help her with the books and whatever. But helping with that and being responsible for that are two totally different things.
Yeah.
And I should not put that pressure on myself to, first of all, be my mother. That's one thing I very much appreciated. My dad has told me repeatedly, I'm not expecting you to take her place. Like, I'm not expecting you to fill her shoes. And I think just as people, we need to learn to give ourselves grace, to give each other grace. Sorry, getting choked up.
I just want to be able to, I want everyone to be able to make a mistake and learn from it and be able to write that mistake better. Like change their opinion, change the, because I see a lot of like the cancel culture with even celebrities, like things people are digging up from like back in 2008 they said on Twitter, or 2010 they said on Twitter. Like, guys, that's been 10 years. I mean, first of all, they probably said that when they were like 15 years old.
Yeah.
And they should have never.
When everybody's young and stupid.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I understand a lot of people, I understand
young,
something
stupid, and in heat.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, people want to cancel them. People want to kill, like practically want to kill them for something they said or done 10 years ago. And it's like nobody wants to give anybody else grace. Nobody wants to give anybody else a second chance or a third chance or a fourth chance. They want to write them off. They want to like pretty much lock them in jail for just about everything and throw away the key. And it's like, do I like what happened in the finale? No. Do I believe
that?
Do
I think it was handled well? No.
No. Do I agree with John Tinker? No. Do I agree with Brian Bird? No. Do I agree with what happened? No. Do I agree with how they handled it, especially with interviews and how they talked about why things happened the way they happened? No. But you know what? I'm hoping that they learned from it, and I hope that they don't do it again.
Yeah.
I hope that from now on, they will, first of all, chunk the whole triangle scheme out the window, burn it, whatever, and never use it again. Especially like this. Like, know from day one who you're going to pick and make sure everyone knows it.
And don't make it 3 seasons long.
Yes. But, we can't change any of that. Just like they probably wish they could change it. They can't. And we can't. So we have to move on, and we have to hope that they learn from the lesson and that they move on and they make better choices for the next season.
Well,
And
I
the
mean,
next
to learn something from it. And like you and I have talked about how kind of after the fact we realized our entire lives were wrapped up in this, guys. Like if we weren't on Instagram Live, we were answering 40 plus people a day messaging us about stuff. So if we weren't texting, we were on live. If we were not on live, we were researching, you know, whatever. Like our entire lives were wrapped up in this show. And we, after the fact, realized, wait, if a stupid show can affect us that much, we had our priorities out of line and we had to go get right with God.
Yeah.
You know, like
we definitely put that show before God, and that right there becomes an idol, and that right there is not good.
Yeah. So I mean, like even just that though, to make us realize to watch our priorities. And I mean, I'm not saying we're like these super spiritual people, but I do believe both of us have not capable of messing up. I do believe both of us do have strong relationships with God, which I'm very grateful for. And I'm very grateful for the spiritual connection that she and I share. But to come to that realization and stuff. So, I mean, that taught us a lesson, if nothing else. So thanks, Brian. Thanks, John.
Thanks.
You know, for getting us right with God. You know, I mean,
right? I mean, and you know what? If you really need to see an example, look at the whole situation that happened with Gowan.
Yeah.
In the first couple of seasons, nobody trusted Gowan. Everyone hated Gowan. Bill, most of all. Jack didn't trust him more than he could, farther than he could throw him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, but eventually he realized the error of his ways. He saw where he made mistakes. And a lot of it was because he knew that that was wrong. Like obviously we didn't learn until later that he had been trying to reach out to get the mind checked out. He knew that something was wrong and everything. We didn't know it then, but you know, that's another example. We don't know what's happening in that person's life behind closed doors.
Something I'm struggling with right now, and God's been kind of convicting me of, and honestly, I'm still struggling with it. Like I'm stubborn. Okay, I'm sorry. Sometimes God has to like get me over the head a few times with something before I'll finally get it or be willing to give up. But is you know, people that have mistreated me and whatever. It's one person in particular. Like a friend of mine texted me today. I was like, oh, by the way, so and so texted me that this and this, something about me. And I was like, oh, I love how they can talk about me and not to me. That shows great strength of character. You know, like I'm snippy about it. I don't trust this person any further than I could throw them. And I've just seen them do stuff that nobody else sees. Like, I'm like, you know, why do people?
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. And, but something God has been starting to convict me about lately is pray for those who despitefully use you and persecute you. And I'm like, ouch.
He even talks about how we need to love our enemies more than we need to love our families and our friends. Because it's easy to love your family. It's easy to love your friends. It's easy to love the people that you like and you have a good relationship with.
Do not even the publicans the same? Like, what do you more than them if you're just doing these things? Because everybody does that. And
exactly. You're no different than the person who doesn't even go to church or read their Bible or pray or even have a relationship with God. I mean, they even at least like some people.
What's the verse? We are unprofitable servants. We have done that which is our duty to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about that.
Pretty much says, yeah, it's easy to do some of those things, but it's not really easy for you to like your prosecutor, is it? It's not easy to like the person who wants to damn you to hell. It's not easy to love the person that pretty much will literally like who physically has hurt you or mentally hurt you or emotionally hurt you. None of that stuff is easy.
You know, it's one of those things where I'm like in the back of my mind right now, because like I said, is this something I'm struggling with currently? Like, this is not something I'm okay with.
Honestly, trust me, I guarantee you, every person who is watching this right now, including me and you, every person on the face of this earth has one person that they do not like. But they can probably flat out say they hate.
Yeah, I mean, in my heart and mind right now, I'm just feeling what a relief it would be if I let go of that and did just start praying for them. But I mean, that is hard. That goes against every natural fiber in your being to do that.
It
This is
goes
why it's
everything
called
against
dying
being human.
daily, y'all. Like,
Yeah.
but-
That's just it, because no matter how many times me and you keep doing something wrong, like there's always going to be something that we struggle to try and stay right with,
yeah.
you know, that we keep having to ask God to forgive us for. But guess what? He keeps doing it. He
Mhm.
keeps forgiving us.
Oh, you never give up on me. When though I'm weak, you are strong. You show me I still belong. Oh, you never give up on me. I love that song. But okay, now y'all see.
I swear, life's a musical when Kerri's around, because you say something, she's gonna find a song.
Get it from my
So-
mother. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all should. I was homeschooled. Y'all should have seen our spelling tests because every word turned into a song, and my mother was very theatrical, so it turned into a musical. And
So you had your own. You had your own Rosemary.
yes, pretty much. And we would be sitting there for a minute straight, just looking at her like, okay, next word. You know, like, she's over there having fun. But yeah, so if y'all wondered why so many people have said they thought I would marry a preacher, you just got a very good example of that because I can get a little preachy and I don't mean to, it just kind of comes out. Oh, my word.
But we said all that to say that we hope that that Team Lucas starts feeling like that we are a podcast that they can come to and get the whole story.
Yeah.
It support for Lucas and Nathan and Elizabeth and just Hope Valley in general. We are going to continue to give our own snippy little opinions, okay? But we are going to try and be, see everything from as many sides as we possibly can. Not to be automatically judgmental right off the bat. But give our honest first, like we said, like I've seen scenes and my first reaction may not be the same reaction I have the next time I watch it.
Right.
Do you ever,
this is stupid, but do you ever notice that it seems different when you're watching it like on your phone and when you watch it on the TV?
Yeah.
I don't know what the difference is, but I've noticed that before. It's like I cannot like something.
Yeah, because I was like whenever I first watched the episodes, I had them. Me and Mom had them broadcasted to our big screen because it's a smart TV where you can kind of hook it to your phone and you can watch it from there. And then this past literally today, I watched all 3 episodes back to back for the past hour, and having it on my laptop and having it kind of closer to me, I kind of saw more than I did on the TV.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like it's so different. I don't know what the dynamic is.
It is weird.
Different,
yeah.
But it
well,
is.
It's like I said in the last couple, this episode and last episode. Like I noticed specific little scenes that I didn't notice before the first time I watched it. Like I didn't notice that Molly had told her that Faith told her to tell her to come in with a grim look on her face, or I didn't notice that it was the next day and that Nathan's accident happened the night before, and like he was hurt and like he made it through the night and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, y'all, when we're giving our honest opinions, just keep in mind you're dealing with a couple of sarcastic Southern girls, so you're gonna get a little bit of extra
firecrackers.
Yeah, you're gonna get a little extra spice thrown in there from these Southern girls. So
she's but I have to say what's really funny is that like she's a sweet Georgia peach and I'm a raging Cajun.
Yeah.
But yet I swear sometimes she can get a little bit more snippy than I am. So
I'm also a redheaded Irish girl, so there you go. That's where I get my
and I am a dark-haired German/Irish.
Oh my word. All right, guys.
What that says about me, but
oh my word. All right, guys. Well, we hope y'all are appreciating. All right, that sounds bad. But okay, let me finish my sentence and I think that'll make a little more sense. I hope that y'all are appreciating how we try to come at things from every perspective, that we're acknowledging other people have their perspectives, but here's how we see it, and just kind of that we're trying to be fair to everybody concerned. So
we try and look at things from different points of view.
Objectively.
We understand that, yeah, we try and be like, me and her are definitely like glass half full people. We don't look, we're pretty, positive people.
Yeah.
So we try and come at things more positively
Yeah.
than negatively. But sometimes we do get in that headspace where it does get a little negative sometimes. But again, like we said, we might change our minds, and when we do, we will come to you guys and let you guys know, like, hey, we may have felt this way before, but we don't feel like this anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did that with the finale. When before the finale, we were saying, you know what, if we're wrong, we will give y'all a standing ovation, whatever. Like, we will literally applaud you on this, and we did. I mean, we're not afraid to
admit when we're wrong.
Yeah. So yes. I mean, but if we truly believe something, we're not gonna just give in to something that we don't believe in. So
yeah, like, we're not going to be bullied into having an opinion that we don't have.
Right.
Because we did get a couple of we did have a couple of people, commenting and giving us like messages that weren't so kind.
Yeah.
But we handled it.
We had to literally like block comments for months because people were being so rude and whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And not just to us, but to people in the comments. Like, they were having full-on fights in the comments, and we're like, no, we're not allowing this.
Yeah.
This is a safe space for people to allow themselves to have opinions. So if you are a Team Lucas people, comment away. If you don't agree with what we see, same with Team Nathan people. I know you guys probably aren't liking the past 3 episodes because we've actually been liking Lucas. Sorry.
Him and Elizabeth have had some cute scenes, I will say.
They really have. They have. I mean, they're finally giving us what we've been asking for.
Yeah.
A lot of people are upset because they're like, oh yeah, now you guys want to give it to us. Like, well, be appreciative that they're finally giving it to you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. All I'm saying is, it's like, me and her have our right to have this opinion. We created this podcast to give our opinions because we didn't see many podcasts doing that. I'm sorry, but we didn't. A lot of the podcasts around here, they're scripted. They try and be overly nice. They try and sugarcoat their opinions. They try not to do anything negatively.
Or they're sponsored or something, and they can't freely express their opinions.
Yeah, or they do it because they know they are overly rude or overly opinionated. They're not going to get to interview their favorite stars. And you know what? I don't feel bad for saying this, but as much as I would love to interview Aaron, Kevin, Chris, Pascal, Kevin, Jada, Tyler, like, as much as I would love to interview all of these amazing actors and actresses who I love and just, love to see in anything, not just When Calls to Heart, I'm not going to take my voice away to do that.
To not be yourself.
To not be who I am, not speak my opinion, not speak my mind, when there's literally a constitution that allows me to do so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and we want to give other people that ability to do the same thing. So if you see a comment that you don't necessarily like or you don't agree with them, if you feel like you need to tell them that you don't agree with them, you can do it in a kind way. We've seen it done before. It can be done.
Yeah. Well, and I mean,
or don't say anything at all. It's like the golden rule. If you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
Boy, howdy, girl, that was an accent.
Yeah. Comes out every once in a while.
I've seriously gotten to where I don't reply to comments, like even that one respectful.
Yeah, I'd rather just
person, because I'm
go
just
on
like,
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't feel the need to even say anything
Entertain
that could start an argument, even if I am appreciative of how they
are nice about it. Even if you are nice about it, they might not be so nice about the fact that you even spoke your opinion. Yeah. And that happens before. So most times,
the fact of the matter is that they're commenting on our post, they obviously just listened to our podcast So, I mean, we've already stated our opinion. There's no need to reiterate it.
Yeah.
So I mean, if we don't respond to your comments or whatever, don't think that we're just like being rude. Sometimes it's just we don't choose to engage, or whatever. Like, it's sometimes actually out of respect. It's not trying to be rude.
Respect to allow you to have your opinions, and respect for us to allow to continue to have ours. And plus, we once again, like, we don't want you to feel like you can't put your opinions on here, even if they aren't in agreement to us.
Right.
Like, there's been plenty of times where me and you both have like just commented like, thank you for sharing your opinions. We're sorry that we don't share the same opinion, but thank you for feeling like you can speak your mind, and hope you have a good day. That's all you can do.
Yep.
It's like Selena Gomez says, kill them with kindness.
Yep, there you go.
So, but we said all this to say that we love you guys, and this will always remain a safe place for all of you guys, whether you're Team Lucas, Team Nathan, Team Elizabeth, Team Hickam, Team like whatever, and be able to do
Team Snarky. What's the one? Like, there's something I don't remember.
Aaron always said Team Catty.
Win calls the snark. That's what.
Yeah,
that's the one.
the snark.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. And Aaron always talks about like your opinions sometimes come across catty. But freely do whatever you want to do here. This is a space, whether no matter who you are. Just try and be kind to one another. But yeah.
All right. We love you guys, and we'll be back again soon.
Bye.